Number 10, we have the Angel of Death. Wrong placement. Also known as the Grim Reaper, the Angel of Death is the dude who will come visit you as you're passing on to the other side. A guide who will tell you where you are headed and where you're going to spend the rest of existence. Now sometimes this is good and sometimes this is bad, but there have been stories of the Angel of Death screwing up his job by either taking the wrong person to hell or taking the wrong person to heaven. I can't really think of a bigger crime than taking a serial killer and walking him right into the pearly gates. That might be one of the worst cosmic crimes you can possibly commit.
In our number 10 spot we have Azrael. Azrael is the archangel that helps assist beings from this life into the afterlife. He is known by another very common name, the Grim Reaper. I can imagine the idea of him would be terrifying though because of his purpose, but also because he is depicted as having 4 faces. Oh, and for some reason he has eyes and tongues all over his body. Why? I haven't been able to find a reason as to why he's been depicted this way. I can only assume that it's because someone once imagined this angel eating up people and keeping their eyes and tongues. Anyways, this is definitely a seemingly scary angel in appearance. If you're liking this video so far, go ahead and smash that subscribe button so you're recommended more content like this. In our number 9 spot we have Seraphim. Seraphim is an angel that holds one of the highest ranks. It is said that Seraphim has 6 wings, 4 to cover their head and feet, and 2 to fly. They are said to be angels that worship God and surround his throne. They sound kind of nice and cool, and I'm sure if they're real they are, but it doesn't take away from the scariest thing about them, which is that they are on fire. Yes, just like you imagine the gates of hell. That is the reason why people are scared of them and why they are too scary even for the Bible. They are allegedly on fire because they are fired up with love for the Lord. Yeah, that sort of makes sense, but then it also doesn't at all. I wonder who was the first person to depict them in this way. I can imagine the inventor in their room thinking this up. Alas, I am brilliant. These angels are on fire. They're fired up with love for God. Indeed, I am clever.
Coming in at number 9, we have Destroying the Universe, Bartleby Dogma. Leave it to Kevin Smith to come up with a movie that blends the world of supernatural with the world of comedy so perfectly. And leave it to Kevin Smith to put Matt Damon and Ben Affleck in a movie together. Those two might have never made it in Hollywood without Kevin Smith's help. But the movie Dogma starts with 2 angels as they have been kicked out of heaven, and now they are tasked with finding a way to sneak back into heaven. They manage to work something out, but in this process they also learn that if they go through with their plan, they will be walking back into the Holy Realm, and that will prove that God is wrong and possibly cause the end of existence. And Bartleby decides to go through with the plan anyways, which is probably the rudest thing you could ever do. Coming in at number 8, we have Vandalism. A lady online who calls herself Shelly said she had an encounter with angels that was very unfortunate. Turns out angels will sometimes take offense to the way you decorate your home, and they will trash the place. She claimed that she had purchased a large picture of the Mother Mary and put it up in her living room, and not even a week later she was visited by 2 angels. This was in a dream, and the 2 angels looked like glowing beings of light that came to her with a message. They told her that the picture needed to be taken down immediately. She woke up from this dream in shock, but at the same time she figured it was probably just a dream. I mean, you don't actually see angels. Well, she didn't take the picture down, and I guess Shelly should have listened because she came home from work one day. She found that her whole living room, including the picture of Mother Mary, had been ripped to shreds. Now this could have been someone breaking into her place to take everything from her, or it could have been a wild animal that snuck in through the window. You could answer yes to both of these, but Shelly was convinced that this was angels that came in and vandalized her home. Coming in at number 7, we have Murder. Having an angel come visit you after you die is probably the best thing that can happen. You immediately get the message that you're going up to the pearly gates, but what if an angel came down to you before you were dead? Well, that could be cool unless it went like this. A Redditor wrote about seeing an angel in real life. He was just sitting on his porch on a nice summer evening, and there was a man walking down the road. Out of nowhere he saw a bright light coming down from the sky. It looked like a shooting star. Well, that came down to this man walking in the street and enveloped him. It was too bright to see what was happening, but then the light shot up into the sky and the man was laying on the ground dead. He said it looked as if an angel came down and killed this man. man. Is that what happened? I have no clue. It could have been aliens, it could have been an angel, it could have been a spontaneous combustion, who knows. Coming in at number 6, we have more murder from Zara in Spawn. Spawn comics are home to some of the most evil angels you will ever encounter, and it should be no surprise that there is one more evil than all the rest. Zara is what happens when God makes a nuclear bomb. She's a being that has so much power that the only time she gets to walk through reality freely is when God wants a job done right. The big man upstairs will unleash his creation on the universe to take down his enemies, and she will do it swiftly and usually without anyone standing in her way. If you are dumb enough to try and get in her way, she will turn you into dust faster than Joey Chestnut eats an Oscar Mayer wiener.
By Nathan Handwerker, who had immigrated to the United States with his family just 4 years prior, selling hot dogs for a nickel.
Coming in at number 5, we have Treason, Manny from Constantine. I'm just giving everyone a heads up here that there are some spoilers for the TV show Constantine coming up in just a second. I don't think that's going to affect a lot of people, but I just wanted to be nice. Well, in the show, there is an angel named Manny who seems to be a good guy working with the heavens and Constantine. Well, it turns out that the whole time he's been working with the darkness and he's actually evil. I can't think of a more treasonous act than working with God, but actually working with the devil. Coming in at number 4, we have killing people and babies, the angels of the 10th realm, Marvel. If you're going to be the god of thunder, then your enemies are going to have some pretty hefty weight to them. So how about a whole realm of angels who are hell-bent on ripping down life as we know it? These angels see themselves as better than pretty much everyone, and they want to go on a mission to cleanse all life that they see unfit. Like, dude, just let people live. Why are people always trying to push their way of life on people? Like, if you want to sit in the basement and eat Doritos and play video games while you make money off of feet pics, that is your choice and you should be able to do that. In fact, that sounds like the perfect self-sustained ecosystem that doesn't require you to leave your home if you have enough Doritos. Basically, a paradise. Also, these angels have no discrepancy on how young they will murder, so there's that. Coming at number 3, we have killing people and babies again, Gabriel Legion. What would humanity do if God sent down his angels to kill us all? Well, we would probably nuke him. I don't know if that would work, but I think that's what we would do really fast. We would nuke him right away. But in the movie Legion, we get a look at what God's holy wrath might look like, and it all comes from the hands of Gabriel, one of the archangels who comes down to earth to kill a baby. Why does he want to kill this baby? Well, because apparently this baby is going to save mankind, but God doesn't want that to happen for some strange reason, so Gabriel has to try and murder a kid and kills a bunch of other people along the way. So murder and attempted murder are pretty big crimes if you ask me. Coming in at number 2, we have Original Sin. Now, this isn't the name of my new heavy metal band. The Original Sin was probably the worst crime that an angel has ever committed. I mean, the angel didn't do it outright, but he did do everything to make it happen. For those of you who are like me and don't know much about religion, let me give you a quick breakdown. Before Satan was the overlord of hell, he was an angel, and honestly, I didn't know that until like last year. That's why some people call him Lucifer, because that's his angel name. Well, Lucifer was the hottest angel. Everyone kept telling him this, and I mean, he could see it. He would look in the mirror and be like, God damn, I am hot. All you peasants need to get in line. In fact, I am so hot, I'm even hotter than God, and I should be the boss around here, and he went against God. That didn't work out and he got casted down to earth to be in hell. The dude got a little too cocky, but it turns out that Lucifer is also petty and he wasn't going to let getting kicked out of heaven stop him from ruining God's plan. So he turned himself into a snake and went into the Garden of Eden and convinced Eve to eat the apple. Very rude dude, man. And coming in at the number 1 spot, we have starting a war with God. Well, it should be no surprise that the top 2 points about angels committing crimes were both Lucifer. So I kind of glossed over this in my last point, but Lucifer wanted to be more important than God. He wanted to be the new God in heaven, and he knew he couldn't do this on his own, so he got together a huge crew. He convinced a third of the angels in heaven that he should be their new king, that God wasn't even that hot and his parties are lame because no one's allowed to drink, and a third of the angels there were like, yeah dude, we're on board, and they all teamed up to take on the rest of heaven. But God was protected by Michael. Lucifer and Michael scrapped it out and Lucifer turned into a dragon. Yo, I didn't even know this kind of stuff was going on in the Bible. Well, as we know, Lucifer lost this fight, but I think trying to kill God is a pretty big crime.
In our number 8 spot, we have the Flying Angel Man. Hey, were any of you a fan of the brilliant show called Heroes? Well, I was, and this clip that I'm about to show you reminds me of Nathan the Flying Man. People have called this clip to be of an angel, an alien, or some kind of supernatural being. Whatever it is, it would be too scary for the Bible. Here we have a flying angel man. He's on the ground and then suddenly he's up in the air, lingers for a minute, and then flies away. Tell me this is a fake. How is this real? Honestly, it's so hard to believe that I bet you it is real. Anyways, this flying angel man was caught on tape in Rome, and the thought of a bunch of beings similar to him walking among us is scary, so let's move on. In our number 7 spot, we have the Dominion Angels. The Dominion Angels are not too scary for the Bible per se, but probably the thought of them is scary for the people that have committed sinful acts in the Bible. The reason being because the Dominion Angels are beings that bring about justice. They serve you karma on a golden platter. They bring balance and order and carry out judgments against sinful situations in the fallen world. The idea of them is pretty nerve-wracking. Anyone that suffers from having a guilty conscience should be terrified of them. These angels are just psychologically terrifying. In our number 6 spot, we have Lucifer, the devil, the fallen angel himself. Lucifer is probably the scariest angel in the Bible, and honestly, the thought of such evil feels like it probably shouldn't be in the Bible. But honestly, we learn our best lessons when we're faced with adversity, so perhaps the stories about him needed to be told so people could learn what not to do. Lucifer is the devil, who was once an angel that was casted out of heaven. He is said to lurk in the shadows, taunting humans and trying to convince them to commit sins just like the snake does in the story of Adam and Eve. He disguises himself as an angel of light, which makes him even more dangerous. You may think you're dealing with someone loving, but then bam, it could be the devil tricking you. He is known for his trickery. In our number 5 spot, we have Abzeth-the-Boo. Abzeth-the-Boo is another fallen angel and demon. He is mentioned in the Testament of Solomon, and apparently he is an important demon in hell. Apparently his treason left him with one red wing, which is honestly frightening on its own, and you know, it's red. Just know. Apparently he went to Egypt at one point and helped harden the Pharaoh's heart, and convinced his advisors to pursue fleeing Israelite slaves. Because of this, he ended up drowning with the army in the Red Sea. It is said that he will one day return, but honestly, I thought he was already dead because he's an angel, so how did he end up dying in the Red Sea? Perhaps he came to Earth as a human. It's all very confusing. Anyways, he sounds scary. In our number 4 spot, we have Semyaza. Semyaza is a fallen angel who is known as the leader of the Watchers. The Watchers had one purpose. It was to watch over humans. One purpose, and they got distracted by beautiful women, of course. They fell in love with women and ended up procreating with them. The offspring were just horrible and started, killing and eating people, and that put humanity at risk. Oh, and they were also giants. So there's that. Semyaza was the leader of this angelic brethren. As time passed, these god/angelic beings and demigod beings took over Earth and became extremely corrupt. Fun fact, it has been said that Christians in the Middle East have been known to call television Semyaza. In our number 3 spot, we have Furfur. Furfur is the great Earl of Hell and the ruler of 26 legions of demons. That's a lot of demons. He is known as a liar. Which, doesn't that just go hand in hand with the fact that he's a demon? I just can't imagine any demons feeling compelled to tell the truth ever. Well, anyways, apparently he is a liar unless compelled to enter a magic triangle where he gives true answers to every question. He apparently has a rough voice, which sure, makes sense. He just came from the fiery gates of hell. I bet the smoke doesn't do well for the vocal cords. He is known for creating storms, thunder, and lightning. And here I thought thunder and lightning was just, God angry. Anyone else told that tale as a kid? He is depicted as a deer or winged deer. I'll probably never look at deer the same again. In our number 2 spot, we have Wormwood. This angel feels like perhaps he's been hanging around Earth for the last few years. I'm referring to the fallen angel that is Wormwood, that is an angel who brings plagues upon the Earth during the end times. His name means bitterness. The book of Revelation speaks about him and says, Wormwood is a star angel that falls from heaven at the trumpet blast of the 3rd angel, and it poisons many waters of the earth, causing many to die. Apparently, Wormwood is a metaphor for divine judgment, as if plagues are brought onto the world to wash away humans and sin. dark. Yeah, this guy is definitely such a scary thought, especially after the last 2 years that we've all been through. Finally, in our number 1 spot we have Amy. Yes, there is a fallen angel by the name of Amy. Amy apparently is the president of hell. Amy in hell is referred to as a he who initially appears as flames but then turns into a human. So Amy is fire? That's confusing and an interesting thought. Imagine fire had a soul and its name is Amy. Apparently Amy teaches liberal art, naturally. So random. Amy rules over 36 legions of demons, and yeah, Amy definitely sounds too scary for the Bible. Number 10. Cherubim. Cherubim are often depicted as cute little babies with wings, but that is most definitely not the case. Cherubim are featured in the book of Ezekiel. They are described as having the likeness of a man and having 4 faces. That of a man, a lion on the right side, an ox on the left side, and an eagle. The 4 faces represent the 4 domains of God's rule. The man represents humanity, the lion wild animals, the ox domesticated animals, and the eagle birds. These faces peer out from the center of an array of 4 wings, and these wings are joined to each other. 2 of these are stretched upward and the other 2 cover their bodies. Under their wings are human hands, their legs are described as straight, and their feet like those of a calf, shining like polished brass. Between the creatures, growling coals that move between them should be seen. Their fire went up and down, and lightning burst forth from it. They also move like flashes of lightning, and to me this is just terrifying, and I would run far, far away from this. Number 9. Lucifer. Yes, Lucifer is a fallen angel. Angels are spiritual beings who were created by God to do his will, but some of them rebelled against God and became evil. Now, Lucifer didn't create any angels, only God had that power, but Lucifer did trick some of them into rebelling against God and becoming his followers, claiming that he was more powerful than God and would take God's place as ruler of the universe. They believed him, and since then, Lucifer has used them to do his will. His pride persuaded them. I will ascend to heaven, I will raise my throne above the stars of God, I will make myself the most high. Isaiah 14. Lucifer also sends the worst people up to earth to wreak havoc and terrorize everyone, as well as tries to tempt non-sinners to the dark side. So overall, not a great dude. Number 8. Kushiel. In Judeo-Christian folklore, the angel Kushiel is nicknamed the Angel of Punishment, and the name directly translates to God's Rigid One. He is the one who is responsible for punishing massive groups of people like countries or empires. He punishes them with a giant whip of fire, which just sounds terrifying. Each lashing brought on by the whip represents a collective sin committed by a large group of people. An example of this is war crimes. Now, these lashes are rumored to be felt by the souls of every single person who's responsible for that sin. Seems like no one will get let off the hook. This angel is also responsible for punishing people who are condemned to an eternity in hell. Number 7. Trumpeting angels. The trumpeting angels are 7 angels each with a trumpet, and when they are sounded one at a time, it cues apocalyptic events. Upon the sound of the first trumpet, hail and fire mingled with blood is thrown to earth, burning up a third of the trees on the planet and all green grass. With the sounding of the second trumpet, something described as a great mountain burning with fire plunges into the sea and turns a third of the oceans to blood. Nice. Soon after, a third of all sea life and a third of all ships will be destroyed. With the sounding of the third trumpet, a great star called Wormwood falls to Earth, poisoning a third of the planet's fresh water sources, such as rivers and springs. And it's said that many will die from the bitterness of its taste. Following the sounding of the fourth trumpet, a third of the light that shines from the sun, moon, and stars becomes dark from the celestial bodies being struck. The fifth trumpet prompts a personified star to fall from heaven. The star is given the key to the bottomless pit. After opening it, the smoke that rises out of the pit darkens the air and blocks the sunlight. Then, from out of the smoke, the lotuses, scorpion-tailed war horses that have a man's face with lion's teeth, are unleashed. They are commanded by their king, Abaddon, to torment anyone who does not have the seal of God on their forehead by using their scorpion-like tails. When the sixth trumpet sounds, 4 angels are released from their binds in the great river Euphrates.
I hope I'm saying that right. They command a force of 200 million mounted troops whose horses exude plagues of fire, smoke, and brimstone from their mouths. The horses have a lion's head, and their tails as well are like a serpent with a head. The plagues exuding from the horses will kill a third of all mankind. And when the seventh trumpet sounds, loud voices in heaven will say, "The kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and his Messiah, and he will reign forever and ever." So yeah, I don't even know what to say to that. That just sounds absolutely terrifying. Number 6. Ophanim. Ophanim are a class of celestial beings who are very wise, known as the Angel of Knowledge. These angels never sleep as they guard the throne of God. In Christian angelology, they are one of the choirs, classes of angels, and are also called thrones. Now, what do they look like? Well, none other than 4 eye-covered wheels, each composed of 2 nested wheels. Flaming wheels in the sky, constantly spinning, with hundreds of eyes covering it. It's a no for me. That just sounds absolutely horrifying. They're always watching and making sure that everything lines up with God's will. Now, what happens if they see something not so holy? You'd get punished. They are like a security camera running 24/7. I would not want to get on these beings' bad side. Number 5. Seraphim. Seraphim are flying serpents. Flying serpents as angels. In Christian, Islamic, and Jewish writings, the seraphim are celestial beings portrayed as having 2 or 3 pairs of wings and serving as guardians of God's throne. The prophet Isaiah tells us that the seraphim are 6-winged fiery angels who surround God as he sits upon his exalted throne and continually worships God. Isaiah 6. The seraphim also minister the Lord and serve as his agents of purification, as demonstrated by their cleansing of Isaiah's sins before his prophetic ministry. Each seraph is described as having 6 wings, 2 wings used to cover their face, 2 to cover their feet, and the remaining 2 to fly. One reason the seraphim may use 4 of their 6 wings to cover themselves is to express their humility before God. In particular, these angels may use a pair of wings to cover their faces to show God reverence, considering themselves unworthy to look upon the face of God, and also in obedience to the Lord's admonition that no one may see his face and live. The fact that the seraphim also use a second pair of wings to cover their feet may further display reverence for God, and that the angels may be refusing to reveal any unclean aspects of their being before the Lord. The seraphim use the remaining 2 wings to fly and wait upon God, and the visualization of this is just creepy. Number 4. Abaddon. Abaddon is described as Destroyer, the angel of the abyss. In the book of Revelation of the New Testament, Abaddon is described as the king of an army of locusts. You know, the scorpion-tailed war horses that have a man's face with lion's teeth that torments for 5 months anyone who does not have the seal of God on their foreheads. Those ones, the ones I mentioned before. Yeah, well, he's their king, so if you thought they were bad, watch out. It's also said during Judgment Day, he will gather the souls of the damned and carry them down to the place of God's final judgment. So that's great. Number 3. Samael. Samael is a figure who is the accuser or adversary, seducer, and destroyer. Although many of his functions resemble the Christian notion of Satan, the point of being sometimes identified as a fallen angel, as he is not necessarily evil, since his functions are also regarded as resulting in good, such as destroying sinners. He is considered to be a member of the heavenly host with often grim and destructive duties. One of Samael's greatest roles in Jewish lore is that he is the main angel of death and head of Satan's. Although he condones the sins of man, he remains one of God's servants. He appears frequently in the story of the Garden of Eden and engineered the fall of Adam and Eve with a snake in writings during the Second Temple period. He's known to seduce people into acts of evil, causing them to sin so he can destroy them. Kinda messed up, don't you think? There's also a story of him trying to kill an unborn baby, and as an angel, why would you even think about doing that? But that's a story for another time. Number 2. The Watchers. The Watchers are angels that were dispatched to Earth to watch over the humans. While down there, they taught humans secret knowledge, such as weaponry, cosmetics, mirrors, sorcery, and other techniques that would otherwise be discovered gradually over time by humans. So yeah, they taught humans about weapons, and that was a great idea. Now, watching over humans seems like an easy job, but like typical men, they began to lust for human women and started to procreate with them. The offspring of these unions are called the nephilim, which are savage giants who were 1,000 feet tall, who pillaged the earth and endangered humanity. They also forced humans into slavery to produce more food, so that's nice. Now, due to all this, God eventually found out and allowed a great flood to rid the earth of the Nephilim, but first sent Uriel to warn Noah so as not to eradicate the human race. The Watchers messed up so bad that God needed a redo. Great job, guys. Truly. And coming in at number 1 is Azrael. Azrael is known as the Archangel of Death. This angel refuses to show its true form because just seeing him can drive demons and lower ranking angels to insanity. And if a human sees him, they will instantly die. If he does ever show you his true form though, you'll see that he's entirely covered in tongues and eyes. The amount of tongues and eyes are also constantly changing as they reflect how many people are alive on Earth. He also has 4 faces and 4,000 wings. He is one of God's oldest angels and is the embodiment of death itself, as he collects the souls of people who have passed away and takes them to the afterlife. Now, if I died and this greeted me, I think I'd die all over again. Both in Islam and Judaism, he is said to hold a scroll concerning the fate of mortals, recording and erasing their names at their birth and death respectively.
Starting us off at number 10 is Zadkiel, a real archangel of freedom and mercy, but the one we're talking about today is part of the Marvel universe. Back in the earlier comics, Zadkiel used to be God's personal warrior that was extremely good at killing anything and everything. In terms of power, he possesses superhuman strength, speed, durability, he can heal quickly, he's immortal, he can fly, he can capture astral bodies, and he can manipulate you with magic. He could not give less of a shit about humanity, and during Lucifer's rebellion in heaven, he and his black host sided with the dark side. Zadkiel then snaked Lucifer, so this guy's evil truly runs deep. Like, how does man snake Lucifer? I don't get it. As punishment for betraying God, Zadkiel was put in command of Heaven's Black Ops team, and after doing a bunch of work, he was done with it and launched his own attack against Heaven. He started recruiting humans, so after they died, their souls would automatically join his army. Zadkiel thought he could do a better job at ruling than God, and he actually won Heaven and ruled for a while. So this dude is not to be messed with under any circumstances. Coming in at number 9 is Gabriel. In the 2010 action horror Legion, the Archangel Michael goes to Earth and ends up being the angel trying to save the human race. A waitress called Charlie is pregnant with a baby who's going to save humanity, except God doesn't want humanity to be saved. So he sends an army of angels to Earth to end the human race, and the angel in charge of the army is Gabriel. He goes on a killing spree and kills Michael, who later comes back to Earth and says that Gabriel did what God wanted, but that he himself did what God needed, and therefore Gabriel failed. I mean, God did send him down there to kill an unborn baby, surely he should have known something was wrong there. Either way, the TV show Dominion is set 25 years after the events of the movie, and in it Gabriel is still hell-bent on killing mankind. He even managed to convince all the lower angels to fight with him. So an immensely powerful archangel hell-bent on killing us all sounds a lot worse than Succubus, for example. You know? At number 8 we have Samyaza. In the Book of Enoch, this fallen angel is known as the leader of a band of other fallen angels called the Watchers. This group became possessed with their lust for human women and continued to consummate despite it being a sin. Samyaza created 2 half-human, half-giant sons and continued to corrupt his fellow angels into seducing women. His encouragement led to the offspring of these women being giants, and together with the angels they murdered, dominated, and exploited inferior races of men. And I mean, when you have angels and giants in one army, you know you're gonna lose. You may as well just give up. Surrender, it's over for you. Filling at number 7 slot are the Angels of the 10th Realm. Part of the Thor Marvel universe, these angels live in a place called Heaven, not actually spelled heaven, previously known as the unknown 10th Realm. This realm was locked away by Odin because these angels were a right menace. They're vindictive and they're pro-killing babies. Loki actually helps Thor open up a portal to heaven so they can meet the angels. However, a battle ensues where Thor loses and Loki sides with the angels. In all the 10 realms, angels are their greatest warriors, to the point no army is a match for them. They're extremely selfish and materialistic, and think a concept like honor is just plain useless. Now at number 6 is Gabriel. What a surprise! Gabriel, why'd you have such a bad rap? Jeez.
Come on now. Anyway, in the 2005 occult detective film Constantine, half-breed angel Gabriel is a bit of a problem. Gabriel absolutely hates humanity with every fiber of its being and hatches a plan to unleash Satan's offspring, Mammon, onto Earth so humans can die so they can go to heaven. So I mean, it sounds like a good deed, but it most certainly is not. To claim the Earth for himself, Mammon needs help from God and a powerful psychic on his side, both of which he has, and he has the help of Gabriel, the selfish hoe. Gabriel literally tries to stab a possessed woman's belly to get Mammon out of there, and Satan eventually incinerates her wings off. You know it's bad when Satan is involved in doing the punishing. You know it's bad. Coming in at number 5 is Amenadiel. I like him personally just because he's from the DC universe and I prefer DC over Marvel. And I know everyone's just gonna be bashing their keyboards right now trying to tell me how Marvel is so much better and intricate. Believe me, I work with Chain Amanda, they're both Marvel over DC diehards. Either way, Amenadiel is a vengeful angel that spends his life getting back at Lucifer, who is now on Earth. After leaving his post as King of Hell, Lucifer went to Earth and started running a piano lounge, which did not set well with Amenadiel, who never forgave him for betraying him and God. However, Lucifer's a genius and Amenadiel is definitely, you know, more brawn than he has brains. Any move against Lucifer is thwarted quite easily, which makes Amenadiel angrier and stupider. He literally invades LA with the Throne Army and kills a bunch of people all for his ego. Come on man, do better. At number 4 are the angels from Supernatural. I honestly did not think that show could last as long as it did, but I mean kudos to them. 15 seasons, azam zaddy. Now the series follows two brothers who essentially hunt ghosts, demons, monsters, you name it, they hunt it. Supernatural also has a lot of angels in it, the good of which being few and far between. There's probably only like 2 angels that are relatively good on the show, Castiel and Gabriel, and even they are not saints. Gabriel literally forced Sam to watch Dean die 100 times in a pocket universe, and he's in the top tier of nice in the show. That's not nice. Most of the angels on the show have no issue killing humans. The first half of the show actually features most of the angels wanting Satan to escape from hell just so the apocalypse can happen, and that's not even because they want it, it's literally because they're bored. Other antics include Angel Zachariah removing Sam's lungs for a few minutes just to prove a point, Metatron killing a bunch of humans, and also turning angels into suicide bombers. Like, hello, calm down. Filling at number 3 slot is Gabriel. There are so many asshole versions of Gabriel, I feel bad for it. Either way, this terrible Gabriel hails from the 1995 American fantasy movie titled The Prophecy. Now to summarize, there's this sort of angel civil war going on and Gabriel wants to overthrow the regime and be in charge. As angels, you'd think they'd all be able to sort out their differences around some heavenly circular table, I don't know. In order to win the battle, Gabriel is looking for the dark soul of Colonel Hawthorne, a Korean war veteran that committed horrible war crimes that don't even seem to affect his morality at all. Hawthorne's soul will help him overthrow the obedient angels. To put it into perspective of how bad this is, even Lucifer doesn't want Gabriel to win because he knows he'll turn heaven into a second hell. You know shit is bad when Lucifer seems like the good guy. The reason Gabriel is even doing all this is because he feels bad and guilty for betraying God. His soul is being tortured and this is the only way he can see out of it. I mean, has he tried therapy? Are some problems beyond therapy? I don't know. Now at number 2 is Zara. Now Zara is an angel in the Spawn comic book universe that is so powerful and feared that angels and demons alike don't want to get in her way. Zara is a creation that God abandoned and now keeps imprisoned due to her immense unpredictable power. She's one of the most powerful beings in the universe, but she is utterly insane. How can that much power not go to anybody's head? Come on, you're setting her up for failure. Now Zara's unending bloodlust is what makes her simultaneously a homicidal maniac and God's most lethal weapon. He lets her out when he needs someone killed or someone to do his dirty work, and since she's immortal, nothing's that deep for her. The bloodlust within her is actually so strong it manifests in this large white bestial humanoid that can breathe white celestial fire and follow Zara's every command. So not only is she dangerous herself, she also has this ethereal beast that kills people for her. And finally, at number 1 is the Unnamed Angel. In the 2001 psychological horror film Frailty, Dad Meeks, the father of Fenton and Adam, gets visited by an angel who tells him that God wants him to kill demons that are disguising themselves as humans. Meeks is already a religious fanatic, and this angelic visit throws him into overdrive as he waits for the angel to give him the name so he can start killing the people one by one. He takes his 2 kids with him on these murder missions and touches the victim right before killing them because it shows him the visions of what
what crimes that demon has committed. Now Adam believes his dad, but Fenton doesn't, so he tries stopping him, which fails. This angel tells the dad some horrible things about Fenton that leads him to locking him up in the cellar, hoping that will make him see God. After days of being starved, he lies and says he's ready to be part of the murders, and so upon securing the next victim, the dad gives him the axe, but Fenton kills his dad instead. Then, on instruction from the angel, Adam kills the victim and then buries them both. The movie gets darker after that with a lot of twists, but this one angel literally caused a serial killer to be born. And that is it for today's video, guys. Angels, demons, it's a thing. Your parents ever tell you that story of how you have like an angel sitting on their shoulder and like a devil sitting on their shoulder, and like this one like whispers?
Coming in at number 10 is Lucifer. Lucifer was one of the most beautiful and indescribable beings created by God, with his wisdom and beauty being described as perfect. However, despite being considered a perfect, beautiful, and glorious being by countless angels, Lucifer was extremely proud and rebelled against his father after refusing to bow down to Adam and Eve. Therefore, Lucifer is known as the first sinner, the devil, and the adversary. Now, Lucifer didn't create any angels, only God has that power, but Lucifer did trick some of them into rebelling against God and becoming his followers, claiming he was more powerful than God and would take God's place as ruler of the universe. They believed him, and since then Lucifer has used them to do his will. He's known for the deadly sin of pride, and he used his pride to persuade them. I will ascend to heaven, I will raise my throne above the stars of God, I will make myself the most high. Isaiah 14. Lucifer also sends the worst people up to earth to wreak havoc and terrorize everyone, as well as tries to tempt non-sinners to the dark side, so be safe. Number 9. The Watchers. The Watchers are angels that were dispatched to Earth to watch over the humans. They taught them arts and technologies such as weaponry, cosmetics, mirrors, sorcery, and other techniques that would otherwise be discovered gradually over time by humans. Now, watching over humans seems like an easy job to do, but like typical men, they began to lust for the human women and started to procreate with them. What a shock. I mean, their name is literally the Watchers. All they had to do was watch, but no. Now, the offsprings of these unions were called the Nephilim, which are savage giants who were 1,000 feet tall, who pillaged the earth and endangered humanity. They also forced humans into slavery to produce more food, so, you know, that's nice. Now, due to all of this, God eventually found out and allowed the Great Flood to rid the earth of the Nephilim, but first sent Uriel to warn Noah as to not eradicate the human race. The Watchers messed up so bad that God needed a redo. Great job, guys. Really. Number 8. Beelzebub. In Christianity, the name Beelzebub may appear as an alternate name for Satan, or else may refer to the name of a lesser devil, but strictly speaking, they are two separate entities. This apparently derives from the New Testament's preservation of an otherwise unknown Jewish tradition in which Baal-zeb was thought of as the prince of demons. Now, in later Christian literature, Beelzebub is usually described as holding a high place in hell's hierarchy, and he is said to have originated in the order of the cherubim. According to the 16th century occultist John's Wires, Beelzebub is the chief lieutenant of Lucifer, who is the emperor of hell and presides over the Order of the Fly. Similarly, the 17th century exorcist Sebastian Michaels in The Admirable History placed Beelzebub among the 3 most prominent fallen angels, the other 2 being Lucifer and Leviathan. Now, the earliest case associating Beelzebub with witchcraft was the accusation of Jesus acting as a sorcerer and exorcist through his power. In the various later witchcraft scares, Beelzebub was frequently named as an object of supplication by confessed witches. Now, whether he actually helped these witches or not is another story, but he is a fallen angel that has turned evil. Number 7. Leviathan. Leviathan became a demon of darkness and chaos and leader of hell mentioned in the Book of Enoch. Leviathan is one of Lucifer's arms and one of the faces of the devil in Christianity. He's also the representation of the sin envy. Leviathan is a tamer of beasts, a beast collector, and an excellent strategist. He has the power to summon hellish whales that are natural inhabitants of hell and use them in battle. He appears as a huge sea beast, a very powerful species of sea serpent dragon. Now, this This form is so colossal that it's said to be capable of frightening the bravest of men and is capable of swallowing fishing boats and even ships. Now, its scales are several small teeth throughout its body, similar to a shark's body, and in his human form, Leviathan appears as a handsome young man in his late teens. Although his appearance is similar to human, he has fish gills on his neck and his ears are pointed. He also has small shark-like teeth that are hidden under a thin layer of skin in his mouth. Now, like the name suggests, he is a very jealous person, with Lucifer often being the target though. It should be noted that Leviathan's jealousy isn't limited only to him, so you should watch out. Number 6. Mammon. Mammon in the New Testament of the Bible is commonly thought to mean money, material wealth, or an entity that promises wealth and is associated with the greedy pursuit of gain. After the rebellion in heaven, Mammon was banished to hell, where he is one who finds underground precious metal that his demonic companions used to build their capital city, Pandemonium, by Lucifer's order. Mammon is a fallen angel described as being more interested in heaven's pavements than a leader. He tells the other fallen angels to be content in hell and to be happy with what they have got, and to create a home for themselves in hell. He's one of the 7 princes of hell, each representing the 7 deadly sins, and Mammon represents greed and is known as the treasure of hell, and was said to have had dealings with the Greek deity Zeus. It is thought that when you made a deal with the devil for wealth and fame, you were making it with Mammon. Number 5. Belphegor. Belphegor is a demon lord that presides over the sin of sloth and is one of the 7 princes that rules hell. He also assists people make discoveries. For example, he seduces people by suggesting to them ingenious inventions that will make them rich, and they wouldn't have to work hard for it. As one of the fallen angels, Belphegor was originally a member of the Order of Principalities, and after his fall, became a demonic counterpart of one of the 10 Sephiroth that oversee the Tree of Life. He is the biblical enemy of the 6 Sephiroth, the patron angel of beauty. It's said that if Belphegor were to become too influential in the world, then the beauty of all would become tainted, causing ruination. Number 4. Cherubim. Cherubim are often depicted as cute little babies with wings, but that is most definitely not the case. Cherubim are featured in the book of Ezekiel, and they are described as having the likeliness of a man and having 4 faces. That of a man, a lion on the right side, an ox on the left side, and an eagle. Now, the 4 faces represent the 4 domains of God's rule. The man represents humanity, the lion wild animals, the ox domestic animals, and the eagle birds. Now, these faces peer out from the center of an array of the 4 wings, and these wings are joined to each other, 2 of which are stretched upward and the other 2 cover their bodies. Now, under their wings are human hands, their legs are described as straight, and their feet like those of a calf, shining like polished brass. Between the creatures, glowing coals that move between them could be seen. Their fire went up and down, and lightning burst forth from it. They also move like flashes of lightning, and to me this is just terrifying, and I would run far away from this. Number 3. Trumpeting angels. The trumpeting angels are 7 angels, each with a trumpet, and when they are sounded one at a time, it cues apocalyptic events. Now, are they good or bad? Well, that really depends on how you see it. Upon the sound of the first trumpet, hail and fire mingled with blood is thrown to earth, burning up a third of the trees on the planet and all green grass. With the sounding of the second trumpet, something described as a great mountain burning with fire plunges into the sea and turns a third of all the oceans into blood. Soon after, a third of all sea life and a third of all ships will be destroyed. With the sounding of the third trumpet, a great star called Wormwood falls to the earth, poisoning a third of the planet's freshwater sources, such as rivers and springs. And it's said many will die from the bitterness of its taste. Now, following the sound of the fourth trumpet, a third of light that shines from the sun, moon, and stars becomes dark from the celestial bodies being struck. The fifth trumpet prompts a personified star to fall from heaven, and the star is given a key to the bottomless pit. After opening it, the smoke that rises out of the pit darkens the air and blocks the sunlight. Then, from out of the smoke, the locusts, scorpion-tailed war horses that have a man's face with lion's teeth, are unleashed. They are commanded by their king, Abaddon, to torment anyone who does not have the seal of God on their forehead by using their scorpion-like tails. When the sixth trumpet sounds, 4 angels are released from their binds in the great river Euphrates, and they command a force of 200 million mounted troops whose horses exude plagues of fire, smoke, and brimstone from their mouths. The horses have a lion's head and tails as well, and are serpent-like with a head. Now, the plagues exuding from the horses will end the lives of a third of all mankind, and when the seventh trumpet sounds, loud voices in heaven will say, "The kingdom of the world has become the kingdom kingdom of our Lord and his Messiah, and he will reign forever and ever. So yeah, I don't really even know what to say, it just sounds terrifying. Number 2, Ophanim. Ophanim are a class of celestial beings who are very wise, known as an angel of knowledge. These angels never sleep as they guard the throne of God. In Christian angelology, they are the ones of the choirs, classes of angels, and are also called thrones. Now, what do they look like? Well, none other than 4 eye-covered wheels, each composed of 2 nested wheels. Flaming wheels in the sky, constantly spinning with hundreds of eyes covering it. It's a no from me, cause that just sounds horrifying. Now, they're always watching and they're making sure that everything lines up with God's will. And what happens if they see something not so holy? You get punished. Now, what is the punishment? I don't know, and I don't think I want to find out. And coming in at number 1 is Abaddon. Abaddon is described as Destroyer, the angel of the abyss. In the book of Revelation of the New Testament, Abaddon is described as the king of the army of locusts. You know, the scorpion-tailed war horses that have a man's face with lion teeth that torments for 5 months anyone who does not have the seal of God on their foreheads. You know, those ones I just mentioned before. Yeah, well, he's their king. So if you thought they were bad, watch out. It's said during Judgment Day that he will gather the souls of the damned and carry them down to the place of God's final judgment, so that's great.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have Furfur. Furfur is a fallen angel turned demon who is the 34th of the 72 spirits of Solomon. He is the Earl of Hell and has 26 legions of demons who listen to his every command. If one is summoning him, they must do so within the magician's triangle, or else he will not speak, and if he does, none of it will be truthful. He appears as a deer with a fiery tail, unless in the triangle, where he will appear as an angel, but he speaks with a rough and hoarse voice. Furfur has the ability to raise thunder, lightning, and powerful winds, and he also apparently causes love between a man and a woman, which doesn't seem all that bad, but everything I've read about him references it in a negative way. When he is trapped within the triangle, he will tell secrets of divine things.
Coming in at number 9, we have Seraphim. Seraphims are flying serpents. Need I say more? Seraphims appear in the book of Isaiah and their name means burning ones or flying serpents. So not only are they flying snakes, but they are fiery flying snakes. And they don't just got one set of wings. No, because why would they? They actually have 6 wings sprouting from their back. 2 are said to be covering their face. Why? Well, when they are mentioned, they are flying by God on his throne and telling him how great and holy and glorious he is. They cover their eyes because they feel unworthy to look at God. Then they have 2 wings to cover their feet. Yeah, that's right, I forgot to mention that these snaky things have feet. They just keep getting weirder and weirder. Anyways, they hide their feet so God doesn't see anything imperfect about them. And then they have 2 wings that are actually used for flying. But still, they sound horrifying.
In our number 8 spot today, we have Raphael. Raphael is one of the true archangels and is the 4th oldest of the 5. He is a powerful healer, a guardian angel, and a great fighter, so you might be wondering why he landed a spot on today's list. Well, there's just one story in particular that I really wanted to talk about, and that story comes from the Book of Enoch. In this story, Raphael is in a battle with a demon, Azazel. Raphael is able to defeat the demon but decides to subject him to a fate worse than death. The story writes, "Bind Azazel hand and foot and cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert, which is in Dune Dale, and cast him therein, and place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face so that he may not see light, and on the day of the great judgment he shall be cast into the fire." If that wasn't clear enough, Raphael tied this demon up, buried him alive in a hole full of rocks in the middle of the desert where he just now gets to wait until he can be thrown into a fire and burned alive. Like, what? I gotta say, that's very dark.
Coming in at number 7, we have Lucifer. He definitely deserves a spot on today's list. And before you go off being like, why is he on here? He's not an angel. Wrong. He was one. He's a fallen one. This is based on the book of Isaiah in the Bible. In it says, and I quote, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?" So it said that Lucifer was once an angel, but then got banished to the depths of hell after he staged an uprising against God. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious as to why he's terrifying and on today's list. I mean, he rules hell and has an army of sinners and demons at his disposal. He then sends them to earth to terrorize humans and tempt them into committing sin. In fact, in the Bible, it's also believed that Lucifer, or Satan, was the snake that tempted Adam and Eve. He has a number of different forms he can change into. But of course, modern times have him depicted as a red-horned beast with a pitchfork.
In our number 6 spot today, we have Beelzebub. This fallen angel is described in the Testament of Solomon and is said to be one of the angels that followed Beelzebub upon his fall from heaven. He is the sin of pride and is known for his ability to lead people astray. He is most easily summoned in the month of July during the 5th hour of the night. After his fall from grace, he was left with only one red wing and was condemned to hell. He is said to have control over the imprisoned souls of Tartarus and plays a primary role in the demon world. He himself claims that he was once an angel in what is referred to as the first heaven, and after his fall he began to roam Egypt. During his time in Egypt, he met with Moses and the Israelites during the Exodus and opposed them. This is when he decided to harden the Pharaoh and his advisors' hearts and convince them to pursue those who were fleeing. He then went with the Egyptian army in pursuit of the Israelites, but the collapsing Red Sea crushed and drowned him, which left him imprisoned in a pillar of water. Despite being trapped, Beelzebub says that he will return for conquest.
We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the cherubs. Now, you might be wondering, Lindsay, why are these on the list? Aren't they just plump naked kids with little bows and arrows? They're cute. No, sorry, but the Bible has them depicted a little differently. In fact, they are terrifying looking. They are described as, and I quote, "Their form was human, but each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight. Their feet were like those of a calf. Each had the face of a human being. And on the right side, each had the face of a lion. And on the left, the face of an ox. Each also had the face of an eagle." Yeah, you heard me correctly. They had 4 faces. A human one of a lion, a face of an ox, and then a face of an eagle. I'm sorry, but that just makes me uncomfortable. There's too many faces going on. But wait, that's not all. Each head had its own set of wings, and they appear to be on fire. So they're just a weird human-animal hybrid thing that's on fire. Can't forget the fire part. But wait, it gets worse. In Ezekiel 10:8, it claims that their backs, hands, wings, and their whole body were covered in eyes. That concerns me. Why do they need that many eyes? Imagine summoning that thing. Like, its appearance alone would just scare the crap out of you. No thank you.
In our number 4 spot today, we have Asbiel. Asbiel had to be included on this list today if for any reason, because his name literally means God forsaken or God deserter. Asbiel is the angel of ruin and one of the fallen angels from the Grigori. After leaving the angelic post and straying from the angelic duties, Asbiel dedicated his life to leading humanity astray. Asbiel completely abandoned God and his grace and wishes nothing from him. Asbiel believes that God is basically just another common celestial who has hoarded all of the power at the expense of the rest of creation. During and after his fall, Asbiel questioned why God wouldn't just completely remove any evil and malice in the hearts of his creations, and this led to him believing that God was a tyrant who only cared about worship and praise.
Coming in at number 3, we have Samael. First off, Samael's name literally means the venom of God, the poison of God, or blindness of God. Pretty intense for an angel, right? Well, he's not just any angel. No, he's an archangel of death. He killed people under God's orders. So basically, when God tells him to go kill someone, he will show up and confront them with his sword drawn. The tip of the sword contains a drop of poison, so when he jabs the person, it will not only cause a nasty wound, but will contaminate their blood with poison and they will die a slow, painful death. Now, in Hebrew lore, he is the prince of demons and is the executioner of death sentences handed out by God. He is also called the seducer. Why? Well, he is known to seduce people into acts of evil. He seduces them so that they will sin, and then God's like, oh, we got another one, go kill them. Like, that's really dark.
In our number 2 spot today, we have Azrael. Azrael appears in many religions in our world and is often referenced as being the angel of death. His job is to watch over those who are dying and separate the soul from the body, and he receives the spirit of the dead. Rather than being death personified, he is more thought of as being a servant to the will of God. He is, however, referred to as the embodiment of evil. Not that he himself is evil, but just the embodiment of it. He is said to have 4 faces and 4,000 wings, and his whole body is covered in eyes and tongues, which directly correlates to how many people there are on Earth. Like, imagine being visited by an angel that looks like that, and then knowing that seeing him probably means you're about to die. Just not a good situation in general. It is said that Azrael will be the last to die, and he is constantly recording and erasing the names of men at birth and death. I thought my job sometimes got a little dark, but I'll take this one over that one any day.
And in our number 1 spot today, we have the Watchers. First off, why would they give angels such an intense name like the Watchers? Like, it sounds creepy already. Anyways, basically the Watchers came down to Earth to watch over the humans. But while down here they got distracted and fell in love with women. They ended up procreating among them, but this was a disaster. Their offspring were these savage giants who pillaged the earth and put humanity at risk. Like, literally they started killing and eating people. Not only that, it's said that the Watchers were the ones that taught humans about weapons and violence. So yeah, these angels had one job and managed to screw it all up. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. Let us know in the comments below which one of these angels you found the scariest. Honestly, eyes and tongues all over the body, no thanks.
I know.
Yeah.
Number 10, Metatron. I don't think there's a character hated more than Metatron in the supernatural world. Metatron was the scribe in the original scripture. Metatron is an angelic being mentioned in the Babylonian Talmud, Kirkasani, and in the books of Enoch, that he is the highest angel and scribe to God. When Sam and Dean in the show encountered him in the series, he appeared like a harmless angel. He agreed to help them translate the angel tablet that they attained. By the way, I'm not finished watching Supernatural because I'm a loser and I don't have time, so I'm spoiling this for myself for all of you. Love you. Anyways, Metatron had ulterior motives and cast all the angels out of heaven using the tablet. He killed the one, the only, sweet baby-faced Dean, so yeah. We hate him. Interestingly enough though, one biblical study source claims that Metatron is simply a myth and that he wasn't actually real. But like, okay, sure. Anyways, let's move on. Number 9, Zechariah. There's a lot about him in the Bible, but the one we are talking about today is the one again from Supernatural. The show at times made it pretty hard to side with any of the angels, especially Zechariah. Not only was he a bully, but he might as well have been a demon. This guy wanted all hell to break loose. He was one of the top guys, the head honchos, had been alive for 6 millennia, was supposed to protect humanity, but chose to not fight against Lilith because he wanted the end of the world to happen. He wanted millions and billions of innocent people to die in order to cleanse the earth. Doesn't that sound like a dictator I'm not allowed to mention on YouTube? Just saying. Number 8, Uriel. The Archangel Uriel is probably one of those people that if he showed up would not mean good news for anyone. Which is kind of funny because you thought that like if an angel showed up it was like a good thing. Apparently in the book of Enoch this guy was pissed that a bunch of angels, the Watchers, we'll talk about them later, were taking up some human lovers, therefore creating giant hybrid offspring. Uriel desired to rid the world of them, so he convinced God to let him take care of it. So he's the one that flooded the world. Yeah, he flooded it. Noah's Ark? Yeah, that was him. The women were apparently transformed into sirens. If that's not enough to know that this guy doesn't mean good news, he's also the main messenger of the apocalypse. Yay! So if he shows up, run! Run away! If you can, probably can't. He'll outchase you with his wings. Anyways. Number 7, cherubims. Wipe the adorably cute baby idea you have in your head. Cherubims in reality were actually terrifying. Once I'm done explaining how they are actually described in the Bible, you are going to be just as confused as I am. Cherubim were absolutely terrifying to behold. Like, they sound like they were demons. They had 4 faces, one of an ox, a lion, a man, and an eagle, and had 4 wings, and they moved on some kind of wheel within a wheel device that was like covered in eyes. eyes. Oh, and apparently they looked like they were also on fire. I don't know. The image we have of cherubims today, the cute chubby baby ones, were a copycat of the Greek and Roman depiction of Cupid. But yeah, I guess who would want a picture of the four-headed monstrosity on their wall or in a church in stained glass? No one is the answer. Number 6, the Watchers. According to Daniel 4:13, Nebuchadnezzar had a dream after which he remarked, quote, "I saw in the visions of my head while on my bed that there was a Watcher, a holy one, coming down from heaven," unquote. The Watchers were a group of angels who, well, they watched. They did that pretty well. They served as the eyes of God and reportedly got into some mischief that you'd assume demons would be good at. Like, you didn't even know angels were lustful at all. You know the destruction Uriel caused above? Well, the Watchers may have been the reason why. The Watchers apparently got so hot and bothered looking at us hot earth women, who could blame them, that they were like, we gotta get some of that. Their human relations caused some strange after effects though. Their offspring were bloodthirsty giants over 1,000 feet tall and they just kept having them. Like, I really hope they started out like really small, because making anyone give birth to that is a crime in itself. Anyways, Uriel drowned them along with all the other innocent people of the world, so I don't know who's worse in that scenario. Number 5, Gabriel. Sorry guys. The Bible makes it pretty clear that it's probably a good idea to fear archangels because, well, they are anything but the sweet and pure images you saw at your childhood church. More like warriors that go out to punish. I know, I thought Satan did that job, but apparently not. We got punishment from both ends. Great. Gabriel at one time was given the task of announcing to Zechariah the birth of John the Baptist, but Zechariah didn't want to believe him and put a stink up about it, so Gabriel, obviously having a short fuse and a very inflated sense of self, was like, quote, "I am Gabriel, I stand in the presence of God, and I have been sent to speak to you and bring you this good news. But now, because you did not believe my words, you will become mute, unable to speak, until the days these things occur," unquote. I don't know what he was talking about, but the dude literally pulled an Ursula on the poor guy just because he didn't believe him right away. I would say that's not very angelic, but he is an archangel, so. Number 4, the weeping angels. Okay, I know. Hey, aliens, angels, look, there are plenty of moments in the Bible that potentially depict the two were one and the same, and we're gonna do a video about it, hint hint. Please spare me one nerdy moment where I make a Doctor Who reference. Just one, okay? Just one time. I'm still talking about angels, so it counts. They could be in the Bible, I don't know. Don't Blink, anyways. Don't Blink is one of my absolute favorite episodes of Doctor Who, as it introduced one of the most terrifying creatures in the universe, the Weeping Angels. The Weeping Angels disguise themselves as statues you'd see in graveyards or gardens, always seen weeping over a loved one with their hands over their eyes. But blink, turn away for just a second, and you'll wish you never had. The angels feed off of residual energies, and they are creatures from another world and are known as the Lonely Assassins. They are quantum locked and therefore can't hurt you when they're being observed, but turn away and you're dead. They send you back in time. The day you left becomes the day that you die. Number 3, Jophiel. Based on the whole Eve and the apple thing, I'm honestly not sure what God had planned for us if he didn't want human beings to have knowledge. Like, were we just gonna be in his own like perfect Sims world that he built walls around and then like laugh as we just keep running into the same corners? Like, was that what was gonna happen? Like, you know? But God did not want us eating the apple. Yet we did. But it was the angel Jophiel who threw us out of the Garden of Eden to let us fend for ourselves. He had a massive sword made of fire, and when Eve ate the apple, they were the first to ever face the wrath of his supernatural power. All because they eventually wanted to have some agency and maybe understand how things work. Sorry about it. Number 2, Lucifer. I know, Lucifer's the devil. He's not an angel anymore. Well, technically he still is. He just fell a few feet. Get it? Fallen angel.
Okay, whatever. Lucifer being, I don't know, king of hell, could easily scare any demon he came across. Lucifer was cast out of heaven for defying God's orders, even though at one time he was depicted as God's most perfect angel. He was so beautiful he could barely be looked upon. But he became corrupted by pride, and took up arms against God when he no longer wanted to serve him. He, along with the rest of his fallen angels, now rule hell and punish all those condemned to damnation. Yeah, sounds like a guy you don't want to mess with. Sounds like the wrong kind of angel. And last but not least, Samael. Ever lose a loved one in an awful way, or just in general? Of course, everyone has. According to Christian and Jewish lore, Samael is the angel that brought death to the world. He is also known as the accuser, the seducer, and the destroyer, and is commonly associated with the Grim Reaper. Samael apparently went down to kill baby Jacob while he was still in the womb before Michael stopped him, which is a pretty awful thing to do. His angelic job is to test humanity and attempt to seduce humanity towards sin. Like, that's what his job is. Some say he is synonymous with the devil himself, while others say he is just an angel who functions under God. If humanity fails Big G's judgment, they send good old Samael. Sounds like a pretty scary angel to encounter even if they aren't a demon.